Yiji Uria, Nigalambanda, Gabo and Bulu, Taribelang Janai. Hello, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Taribelang Banda country, Bundaberg. I'd like to pay my respect to my ancestors, past and present, on the land that we stand upon today, and their future leaders that work, rest, stand and play together. So all together, we would like to say that we are all as one. And Golanyu Nuggan, thank you very much. My daughter, Nakia Broom Tiger, is going to perform the blessing of the landings.
My name is Corbin Kemp, born in Rockhampton and then finished school here in Bundy. Lived here for about 4 to 5 years. I'm a part of the Gunglu tribe around the Rocky area.
My name is Jem Cassadaley and I've born and bred in Brisbane. And my nan's family is from Bundjalung and Gumbaynggirr country, so down on the north coast of New South Wales. I've lived in Brisbane my whole life.
I'm Hannah, so grew up between Jindabyne and Noosa. It's my grandfather who was from the Gubbi Gubbi tribe in Noosa. Obviously, you know, around those times with stolen generation and everything, it is kind of hard to understand our culture. So I'm kind of just at the start of my journey of discovering, you know, my own culture and my own heritage and where I'm from.
So my name is Byron Broom. I'm from the Taribelang Bunda tribe here, the local tribe in Bundaberg. Our tribe is famous for the boomerang makers. And in my language we call it the barang. And my great-great-great-great-grandfather, John Broom, was the last initiated warrior with the 3 black boomerangs upon his chest, which was to carry on our culture and our laws. As we stand upon this land, this is a very sacred site here as we stand. For back in the day when Quarrell, our creator, he created heaven and earth. And as he created the moon and the sun, our world was in darkness, and the light of the moon and the sun that hit the earth, that made our spin. And as it warmed up the earth, life started progressing. And as Taribelang Bunda people, in our dreaming, we was here, and we seen it all form together. And that was in our culture. And as today, as we see, we pass on that same knowledge and history down to our family. And in the Broom family, the knowledge has been passed down, especially language and our dreamtime stories that we deliver here today. And on this land that we stand, very proud people, for we have suffered many, many years. But today we can proudly stand that we are not extinct. The Bunda people are here to showcase what we have been doing all our lives.
I'm definitely not familiar with the culture here, and I really want to spend this week just to get to know what the elders have to say and the stories, and just really get to know what it's like up here, to be honest, yeah.
Really for me, with the kind of process I'm going through at the moment of discovering my own ancestry, I think it really means to me connecting with our ancestors through, you know, the land they walked on and the land I'm currently walking on, and obviously the way that kind of relates to my own self, I guess.
I hope to sort of find myself in my culture a lot more, like experience someone else's culture as well, like a different mob to what I've experienced throughout mine, how they treat themselves and each other, and yeah, connect with that side of me a bit more.
In terms of footprints on country, I think what it means to me is kind of connecting with our ancestors and connecting with the people that walked this land before us. And obviously I'm not from this area, but I'm really excited to learn about their culture and understand the way they walked this land before us.
I find that I am most connected when I am down visiting my nan and at her place, and my whole family live down there. So I guess I'm I still have a long way to go with learning my own culture, and it's something that I really want to do more. But I guess living away from my family has made it hard as well, so from my extended family. But yeah, no, I would like to really in the next few years just spend more time down there and learn more stories, even from my closest, you know, my nan and my auntie. I've actually never really spent much time in Bundy, so I'm really looking forward to it.
So this is where, when we tell our stories and our Dreamtime stories, our younger people would know that, oh, there's old ancient history here in Bundaberg that we must protect, so their kids can enjoy, and their kids and their kids. So the generation will pass down to generation to generation.
Hearing the didgeridoo with one of my songs is going to be quite interesting because I've never had many other instruments even played other than just myself solo. So, and they are very personal stories that I have written about. So to welcome other people onto, you know, playing with my songs it's quite a big step for myself, and I think it's going to be cool to hear their take on how they're going to interpret the songs and what they can add to them.
You know, we've got a couple of options. We could have either Jem start the song off and then start the didge and the sticks after the first verse and chorus.
Because I sort of just pick up by ear.
Yeah, well, as I am doing a bit of recording pretty soon, I would actually consider doing some didge, especially because what Byron did today was just beautiful, and it really just added so much to a song that I never really expected that didge would fit so perfectly well, especially in my song about Stradbroke. I found that was just really, it emulated the sound of waves, and it felt like I was just sitting on the beach telling the story, so I think it was beautiful.
So here today, I'm going to tell you a dreamtime story of Kuna. Many years ago, back in the Bunda dreaming, out here at Kuna, all the local Aboriginals used to come down for summertime to come down camping. One very special ceremony they used to have here was called Wanduma. And in the Wanduma was a clash of young men battle. And so the young men that had beat the other men in the tribe would become the winner. And Murrell was a very strong, fierce leader. You might as well say won the competition. And as he won the competition, he was allowed to stay on country. For all the other ones had to pack up and they had to go back home after this fighting ceremony. Murrell had the chance to stay behind. And as he roamed around Bunda country, a woman caught his eye. Mawala.
Today Byron shared a few different stories. The first one was about two people and a spirit, how it affected them and how this beach came to be. And the morals that were throughout the story was love. Love from a man for a woman, love at first sight, and how sometimes it isn't meant to be. And he couldn't accept the fact that it wasn't meant to be, and killed and released this spirit, which let go all these beautiful sands and colours that made this beach and the colourful sand mines behind us. Sitting here in a place where this all went down, where it all happened, in the creation of something so beautiful is really significant to me. I would love to know so much more about the stories of where I'm from, where I was born, and in the country or in the place, city that I was raised, what sort of dreamtime stories happened there and how that can resonate with me.
As you can see, we're at the hummock today. And the hummock is a very sacred place to us, a place called Wanduma. And Wanduma is a place of fighting where young warriors used to come and fight. And underneath Wongara here is one of the fighting grounds.
I feel like over the past few days I've really discovered kind of more about my own story in terms of what I want to find out, because obviously I'm finding out about the Taribelang Bunda country and I really want to go back and take it to my own area and kind of discover more about that area as well.
Many years ago, the other tribes would come in and they would come in to fight to see who was the strongest warriors and the strongest tribe. So as they came in during the fight there was a big flash of light that actually came from the sky. And when they looked up into the sky, the whole tribe seen it. They could see a figure that was coming down from the sky, and when it came down, it looked like it was floating. And as it came down, they could see a pair of feet. And then from the feet, they could see some legs. And then as it got closer, they could see it was a formation of a man. The Aboriginal people was watching him, and as he came down, his feet touched the earth. And as his feet touched the earth, he gently went back up. And as he went back up, the people seen him go back up into the sky. And he went up to the heavens. What happened was, after he disappeared, the earth started shaking. And as the earth shook, it started shaking, all the trees and everything started really shaking. And what happened was, there was so much pressure from the ground that the blood of the earth came up. And as it came up, it formed an explosion. And when it exploded, all our animals was cast out and everywhere. As the blood of the earth came out of the earth, our people had to stand back and see the marvelous wonders what Quarrell have created. For there was a message in the story was, stop fighting. He built this Wangara hill, the flaming hill, for a reason, because when you stand on top of the hill, you can see far as across the waters. There was a greater enemy coming across. So there was a principle in our story behind it. So and that's the story of Wangara, the flaming hill.
There are a lot of sacred sites that I've heard of in my family that I would like to know a bit more about, especially a women's site that my nan told me that she would take me, and it's it's definitely made me want to take some time, and especially some downtime with my nan and see her, and she can show me around some sites down on Bundjalung country.
In terms of the connection, Byron has really helped kind of bring significance to every site we've been to so far, because obviously it's beautiful country and it's really lovely to be here, but once you kind of know the background of the area and kind of its relation to kind of the local mobs and everything, it's really become just so much more significant and connected, I guess.
This afternoon we're about to be shown around this waterhole, so Byron and Nikki are about to let us know the history of this place, and I'm really intrigued because it is very beautiful and it reminds me of a spot that we have back home as well, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yuji Uria, welcome. Today we're going to do a little bit of ochre marking. And back in the day, the ochre was very special, especially for our ceremonies. And we used to sit around in gatherings. Our old people used to sit down and tell our children dreamtime stories, our language, and they'd put dreamtime dots and our dreamtime markings on our face. When we do our face painting, our women would have dots up here and dots down here. And that represents seeing our culture through our eyes. And as part of the warriors, we would have our warrior markings and across our nose. For these markings are represented for when we do culture on country, our ancestors can identify us. So I'd like to palm it over to my daughter, who's going to do some of the markings on your face. And then after the girls have a go, we will do the warrior, the men warrior. So when we have our ball roll rings around our legs and around our arms, and this is why we wear a headband to keep our head protected too. So therefore our whole body is in spirit. And as they would do it, our elders would sit there and teach them the language, especially hello. And in their language, hello was yiji. Welcome was uria. And sometimes when you praise somebody up, it was like uria, uria. So it was like gathering when they come in. So there were certain meanings to our markings as we go through.
Byron just sat all three of us down and talked to us about their tribal markings and their paintwork, and had his daughter paint up the two girls, and Byron painted up myself in his tribe's warrior paint.
Thank you. As you can see, this one is a different marking, and this one is our warrior marking for when she goes hunting. So this one here is the healing ones with the dots. And now I will do the markings for my brother.
It was a great experience to hear about that and just see how each different tribe can mark their territory and their people. It is the first time I've been painted by a tribe in a special marking, spiritual markings.
You can see the ball roll rings that represents the healing places. We've got the face marking that represents our ancestors and our spirits to identify us. So this is the bloodline that actually comes through the Bundaberg, the burner rib, the Borough. Then we've got our healing space, our Borough rings that lead into a healing place where we do our ceremonies.
Never been painted before, but it was a great first experience from especially the landowner's tribe to have their paint, their traditional paint put on me in such a spiritual way.
After when we got painted up and put our sacred markings on, our people used to sit around with their elders, and the elders used to play their clapsticks, and what they used to do, they used to sing song lines and stuff. And besides that, this is where the younger generation would, when we do our passages or rites, this is where our elders would sit down and talk to the younger women, what kind of woman would you like to be? And the older men would tell the young warriors, what kind of man you want to be? And this is where they would sit around and gather information and stories. And through the stories and information, they would have a better understanding of the younger man and what his thoughts was. And then the younger man had the proper idea what the older man wanted of them. And it was so proceed with the women too.
And they are an endangered species, the snapper turtle. It's up in the freshwater in the Burnett, Burrell. And the name of the Burnett River is Burrell. Means big river because it's a flood plain, you know. So we have a lot of floods here, I guess. And how it began was back in the Maniawandun, long time ago, there was no rain, there was no water. And the kangaroo grass, everyone had to chew the kangaroo grass to get the moisture out of that because there's no water in it. And that happened for a long time, and the elders said, no, there's water here somewhere, they can feel it, you know, there's water here somewhere. Someone's hidden the water here, so they got Maralong. The Death Adder, because the Death Adder can change colours. I've seen him go from red dirt to the sand, and he changed the colour from that red snake. When he go over to that grey sand, he changed that colour, camouflage, you know. And you got to be careful, they always get under the leaves and that too, you know, when they strike. And so they got Maralong and said, listen, you know, you can hide yourself and you can creep up to anybody and find out where the water is. So days happened there and Maralong was looking around and he came across the turtle was in his shell. And when he came out, he had all the water there. And did you know that the snapper turtle has a tank inside him? A big tank full of water inside there. So that he'd go in and have a drink. And they said, there it is. They hide in the water, he's hiding in the water. So the elder said, right, we'll have a big crobbery. Get everyone together. Who's the fastest dancer? And they looked around and they said, oh, Wallaby, he's the fastest. Darren boy. And they said, well, do you keep an eye on him? And when we have this big crobbery, will you start dancing and dance up close? And Maralong was there watching, you know, and he'd give him the nod. And when they danced up, he started and kicked up all the dust. You couldn't see nothing, so he worked. And then Maralong gave him a nod, and he danced over him. He kicked the turtle over, Milby. Over he went, and the water gushed out, and the springs opened up, and all the water started running. And the kingfisher took. You see the kingfisher bird? He lives along. He's a guardian. He guarded that water to the salt water. And you know what happened? The men forgot morals and they rushed and had a drink first before the kids and the women and all that. That's why we got to see it. You grow a beard, that's your punishment for getting greedy. And so the water flowed down, and that's the way the Burrell started back in the dreamtime. The rivers, it came from Milby, the turtle, the freshwater turtle. Mm.
I'm hurt in a way of like all these stories that Byron has shared with us, all this culture that is here. Like Bundaberg is so rich with culture of their Taribelang lands that I haven't had the chance and opportunity to find out my own lands, as it was taken in such a abrupt and quick way that like my tribe lost a lot of the knowledge they have today, and I would love to be able to get that back, but that's something you just probably will never be able to get back. That's a piece of history, a massive piece, especially of this country, that we'll never get to hear again, and that's why I'm hurt, because I can't bring what they have to the table.
I'm Auntie Marina, and I would like to pay my respects to my ancestors and to the other elders, past, present and emerging, where the Taribelang people are the custodians of the land and water that we stand, work and play on. Have a nice evening, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah.
For me, it's just been such an eye-opening experience to understanding more about myself and my own kind of culture, and then also, you know, obviously understanding here and meeting Byron and Nikki and the elders and everyone. It was just such an amazing experience. I think it's just something we won't forget very quickly.
Learning about the Taribelang country people and the Bunda people and how they came to be, and then also connecting with my own culture and finding myself starting that journey, and maybe looking forward to going home and finding out more.
So this is a song that I wrote about my time over at Stradbroke Island, and yeah, it's called By the Sea. I've definitely found this experience quite an eye-opener, and I loved being able to call my nan and just ask her a whole lot of questions, and even though I thought I knew certain things about my family, it was amazing to, even in an hour and a half phone call, I was still able to learn so much more. This trip away has really made me a bit homesick for sure, and I get to spend some time with her and learn things that she is so excited to share with her grandkids too. So I'm really, really excited to go back and visit her in a few weeks.